getting right into the IRS whistleblower today. So the House Oversight Committee heard from two IRS whistleblowers named Ziegler and Shapley, who were purported whistleblowers for the Hunter Biden case. Now, really quick, before I talk about what they talk about in this case, Ziegler has been in the IRS for about 13 years, and Shapley's been in the IRS for 14 years. I just want to set the stage for who these men are, what are their biases, because I think that's important and it's good to consider when thinking about what happened in this case. So anyway, they have 13 years and 14 years of experience. They've been in the IRS for a long time through a few presidents. Ziegler specifically spoke to this because he kind of assumed that as he comes out and talks about the Hunter Biden case, people would assume that he had some connection to Republicans or a conservative group. Just to give everyone a little bit of context, Ziegler is a Democrat and has voted Democrat and he's gay, and he's openly talked about how he, for the most part, votes Democrat. He did say that in 2020 he didn't vote, but I thought it was interesting in this oversight in the House Oversight Committee in this hearing that he felt like he had to preface it saying that we've gotten so polarized nowadays, and there's nothing wrong with looking at biases, but we've gotten so polarized today that people immediately just like jump to, oh, because you're speaking out against these people, you must be on the other side. And I think what Ziegler was trying to do with coming out and just saying openly that he was a Democrat is he's essentially trying to totally dispel that and discredit that critique that could come up. But I think it points to a larger issue as well, that we always assume that it has to be the left attacking the right or the right attacking the left. Whereas in this case, and as I'll talk to at the end of this podcast, I believe Ziegler and Shapley came out rather virtuously. And it actually shows a lot of deep maturity and heroism from them because they are people on the left attacking what they see as an injustice on the left. So kudos to them as we talk about it today. Keep those things in mind. And I'm sure as time goes on, we'll figure out more things about them. They've talked about how because of what they're doing with whistleblowing right now, they're at a great, they have a lot of risk to their job, and they may be out of a job. And so that's really why I point to their heroism with this story, because anyone who's willing to come out against the liberal elite is going to receive huge amounts of backlash. If they're in the government, they'll probably lose their job and they may have a really hard time finding another job. At least I assume, obviously they were government workers, but being in the IRS for 13, 14 years as higher up investigators, I assume it was a fairly lucrative job for them. Shapley is the one, so it was Ziegler. He's the one that we're going to focus on for most of this, but Shapley was the other one. And really quick, I want to quote Shapley just to get us started off on what happened in this investigation. They were the two that were in charge. They were among others, but they were mostly in charge of the Hunter Biden investigations into his tax evasion. So this is all according to an article posted by CNN. The reason why I'm going off of CNN is because I wanted to get a liberal take of this. And so everything I'm going to be quoting today will be from CNN. This is a quote, though, directly from Shapley. He says, quote, "When the subject's father is somehow related to the finances of the subject, in the normal course of an investigation, we would have to get that information to properly vet the financial flows of money and determine what we end up charging." So essentially what he's saying is for anyone, not just in politics, whether they're a public figure, a public official, or just a normal citizen, if they are looking into someone's financials and they're connected in any way with their father, they're going to have to delve into their father's finances. Makes a lot of sense, right? Like if they're really trying to do an in-depth sort of investigation, they're going to have to go through the father because there is a lot of evidence that Joe and Hunter Biden had business dealings with each other, especially in connection to Ukraine. However, what Shapley is saying, he says after this, adding that his team was blocked from running down leads related to the president. This is where things get really dicey. The reason why Shapley and Ziegler have come out is they've said that anytime they got close to Joe Biden, the DOJ and their higher-ups at the IRS told them that they could not touch those things. Essentially, the Justice Department limited their investigation to just Hunter Biden, which what Shapley's saying here is not common practice, is not what they do for anyone else, which again, very ironic because here's what we are hearing from the left, especially in connection with investigations into Donald Trump. What you're hearing is, hey, the rule of law stands. You should treat everyone completely equally. Now, I'm not saying liberals are opposed to what Ziegler and Shapley are saying, but there are a lot of liberal and Democrat elites that are smearing Ziegler and Shapley, but praising Donald Trump's indictment and his investigations. And I find that really hypocritical considering Ziegler and Shapley were not able to treat this case in the same way because of the fact that Hunter Biden is the son of an acting US president. According to CNN, they said Ziegler, who is Shapley's deputy, also told the panel in his written testimony that he wanted to interview Hunter Biden's adult children after uncovering potentially illegal deductions in Hunter Biden's tax returns related to payments to his children, but a Justice Department prosecutor said that would, quote, get us into hot water, and it didn't happen. This is the part where it gets really freaky, and people talk about the deep state a lot, and this is where I pause. I really try not to get into conspiracy theories because they're really fascinating and they can suck you in, but this is where the deep state really starts to sound intense and very real. The fact that they said it would get us into hot water. What does that mean? Are they talking about hot water from the public, from the media? Are they talking about from like business elite? Are they talking about donors? Are they talking about the Biden family, the administration, that they'll lose their jobs because they're under the executive branch? It's really unclear, but it's really scary, the fact that the Justice Department prosecutor is saying, because of the fact that this will get us into hot water, because of the fact that this is controversial and is kind of dicey, we're not doing it. That is not how the rule of law works. That is not how the DOJ is supposed to work. This is why you hear a lot of people saying we just need to kill the DOJ. You're hearing Vivek Ramaswamy, one of the presidential candidates, and Ron DeSantis saying we need to get rid of some of these agencies. The FBI is one under question. And a lot of people pause and they're like, that's kind of extreme. But when you hear stuff like this, it makes you pause for a second and think, maybe we do need to clean house and just totally start from scratch when we have DOJ prosecutors saying that, hey, if we get into the Biden family, that's going to get us into hot water, so we shouldn't do it. So Shapley, again, I want to give credit where credit is due. Shapley is one of the whistleblowers. Ziegler is the other one. Ziegler was previously anonymous, and this is where I think the heroism comes out. He was previously anonymous, but very recently, when it came to this hearing with the House Oversight Committee, came out in the open because he felt like he needed to in order to give validity to his story, which is true. If you look at history and the prominent whistleblowers we've had, anonymity is really not powerful. It's not really a powerful force in whistleblowing. Putting your name on the line, however difficult it might be, is what really gives power to people. This is where, so going back to CNN, this is where the media comes in. This is why I read the story from CNN. I didn't read anything specifically from the CNN article because I was just trying to get to the meat. That was basically what I read to you, was all I could read to you from CNN while actually giving you meat, because the rest of it was just hyperbole and propaganda. But what we see is when a whistleblower is saying something about the left, that they are immediately bad. So Ziegler, Shapley, totally evil. Even though they happen to be Democrats and are liberal, they're totally evil. Okay? They're bad. They have holes in their stories. They are against, not only are they bad, but they are against democracy. They are a threat to democracy. And somehow they're colluding with Republicans in the House Oversight Committee to get Joe Biden impeached. That's the story, right? That's how it goes every time when there's someone, it doesn't matter if they're left or right, but if they're attacking someone on the left, that is how the whistleblower is portrayed. But when a whistleblower are criticizing the right, they are champions of democracy. Suddenly, it is as if a savior has come to show the deep inner workings of the deep state on the conservative side when there's a whistleblower. We saw this, just one clear example is when the clerk came out and leaked the Dobbs decision, the overturning of Roe v. Wade. What happened? They came out in anonymity. No one really investigated it in any meaningful way, but even though it was anonymous who did it, the left praised them for all the good work they did. It resulted in violence and a lot of protesting from the left as they anticipated the overturning of Roe v. Wade. It actually led to a terrorist trying to kill Justice Kavanaugh. It led to people going to their homes. Like, it actually had real consequences, real violent consequences. And yet those people are championed as these democratic figures who have done the unthinkable by coming out. And here's the deal: when it comes to the justice, when it comes to the judiciary, I have no sympathy for whistleblowers. They absolutely should not be doing that. Why? Because those people are not elected officials. Those are appointed officials. I think there's a totally different ballgame there. When it comes to unethical behavior, I think there's something to be said about that. But when something's going to be released already, like in the case of the overturning of Roe v. Wade, super unethical and evil to come out before they're able to release a statement with it. Now, when it comes to Congress or the executive branch, I think whistleblowers are fair game. I think always, the more the better, really. I mean, the more we can hold our elected officials accountable, especially the executive branch, where it's really thick and there's a lot of bureaucracy, the more we could do that, the better. Super big fan of that. But I'm sick and tired of seeing the left demonize people when it happens to them on the left. They should apply it equally. We see as well that intersectionality is really just a hammer for the other side. This is something I'm going to talk about a little bit later in the podcast as well. But intersectionality is this idea that there are basically immutable characteristics, right? There are things that you are born with, you can't change them. And because of that, you have an inherent value. If you're black, there's kind of this intersectional coalition of, hey, because I'm black, I'm just a little bit better than Hispanic. And because I'm Hispanic, I'm a little bit better than a white guy. But the reason why it's intersectional is because if you happen to be black and a lesbian and a woman, then you are better than, say, a black straight man. So there's this hierarchy, right? And this fits neatly into the doctrine of wokeism as well. But what we see from the left is that only applies if you're attacking the right. They actually don't care about that at all. And the example here is with Ziegler. Ziegler is a gay Democrat. He's openly gay, but his intersectionality is suddenly not valid anymore because of the fact that he's criticizing the Biden DOJ. And I think that's really glaring. This is where this moral relativistic philosophy that underlines Marxist progressive America is coming in really clearly. That they seemingly have these principles that they live by, wokeism, intersectionality, but it's rules for me, but not for thee. That's what it is. If I'm attacking you and you're on the right, and I'm a black lesbian lady, fair game. In fact, I'm way stronger than you now. But if the roles are reversed and it's a black lesbian lady attacking a Democrat, even if it's a white male who's straight, her blackness, her homosexuality does not matter anymore. It only applies if you're on the left.